Hello, sports fans. It is Tuesday, November the 27th, the year 2012, and as usual, a lot to get to in the sports world, so let's get it going right now. Last night, the Monday Night Football game, it was a real snoozer. The Carolina Panthers beat the Philadelphia Eagles 30-22 in Philadelphia. A real snoozer. The Panthers go to 3-8. The Eagles drop to 3-8. I mean, a complete lost season for the Philadelphia Eagles. A complete mess, a complete debacle. We know Andy Reid's gone. Who knows about Vic? They need major changes all over the board. Offense, defense, special teams, coaching. The Eagles just are in shambles, a complete disgrace. I never thought I'd say at this point in the season that the Panthers are more enjoyable to watch than the Eagles. What a complete joke the Philadelphia Eagles have become, and that city of Philadelphia deserves better than this mess they're watching week after week after week. 7 games in a row the Eagles have lost. 7 games in a row the Eagles have lost. Unfathomable. So that wraps up last week in the NFL. Let's quickly go through the NFL standings. Let's see where we are. We only have a few weeks left, in the regular season. And, we got to start talking about the playoffs here. So let's go to the standings. Let's see who's in the playoffs, who's got a good shot at making the playoffs, who's hanging around. Let's go to it right now. Let's start in the NFC East. Giants are 7-4. They lead the division. Second place, Washington. They're 5-6. They're 2 games behind the Giants, so the Giants are in really good shape after that big win against the Packers. Giants should have no problem winning this division. Cowboys at 5-6 also. They're 2 games behind the Giants. Cowboys can't get out of their own way. You can't trust them. And Philadelphia, like I said, 3-8 now after the loss last night, so they're a complete mess. They're out of it. Giants looking good in the NFC East. As far as the North, the Bears at 8-3 off the big win against Minnesota. Cutler back. Bears have a few injuries now. You got to keep an eye on Forte being hurt, Hester being hurt. We'll see if they can play this week. Bears with a nice win last week. They jump ahead of Green Bay into first place. Green Bay off the bad loss to the Giants. They're in second place in the North. They're 7-4, game behind the Bears. They did beat the Bears once in Green Bay already, so if they can beat them again in Chicago and stay a game behind them, they could jump the Bears with the tiebreaker. We'll keep an eye on that. Green Bay's got a lot of problems, though. A lot of injuries with Woodson and Matthews on defense. Offensive line very shaky. No running game. They do have Rodgers. They do have the receivers, but a lot of problems for Green Bay. You can't count them out, though, because they're so explosive, and they do have Rodgers. Third place in the North, Minnesota at 6-5. Overall, doing a really nice job, the Vikings. I mean, they've doubled their win total. I don't think they're a contender for the playoffs. I mean, I think their schedule is going to get them. I mean, they lose last week to the Bears. The Bears kind of handled them pretty easily last week. I think the Vikings are going to start to take a step back here. Having said that, they're still in it. You can't count them out just yet. I think they're going to go backwards. We'll see. They've surprised me so far. They've done a really nice job, the Vikings. Last place, the Lions. Lions 4-7, one of the most disappointing teams in the league. They have more talent than 4-7. They're another team that cannot get out of their own way and finds ways to lose week after week. Or as far as the South, Atlanta Falcons 10-1, one of the best teams in the NFL. Every week they find a new and creative way to win. Matt Ryan at the end of the games is great. Defense has been a lot better this year. I'd like to see him commit to the running game more, but I can't complain about an Atlanta team that's 10-1. You just can't do it. Second place, Tampa Bay at 6-5, doing a really nice job. Tampa Bay playing real competitive. Shiano has that team playing inspired football. I like what I see from Tampa Bay this year. They're on the right track. Right track, Tampa Bay. New Orleans at 5-6. They had a bad loss last week. They could have really used that win against the Niners. Breeze had the 2 bad interceptions that were run back. Step back for New Orleans. They had rallied after the bad start. They're still in it. I still think they're going to come up short. They're still in it, though. You can't count them out because of Breeze in the offense. Carolina, like I said, they win last night. They're 3-8. They've had a lost season. I mean, they're trying hard, the last few weeks. They just don't have enough. Cam Newton has had a sophomore jinx type of season. I still believe in him. I still think he's going to be a really good quarterback. So the future, I think, still is good for Carolina, but this year is just a lost cause. In the West, San Francisco at 8-2-1. Very good the last couple of weeks, San Francisco. They looked good against New Orleans. They looked good the week before. So San Francisco really starting to play well. I like Kaepernick at quarterback. I don't know if Harbaugh is going to pick him over Smith to start this week. I personally would pick Kaepernick. I think he has more of an upside. Not that Smith is the worst quarterback in the history of the world. I think Kaepernick has more of an upside. That's just my personal opinion. We'll see what Harbaugh thinks. Second place, Seattle. They're 6-5. Great home team. Can they do it on the road? That's the big thing with Seattle. Best home team in the league. Can they do it on a road? They lost to Miami on the road. They're back on the road this week. We'll see what they can do on the road. Overall, though, a nice job. I like Seattle's defense. Wilson, I do like him at quarterback. He plays better at home than on the road, but we'll see about him going forward. St. Louis at 4-6-1. They obviously need help on both sides of the ball. But Jeff Fisher has them playing very hard, very inspired football. I like the direction they're going. I do like Bradford. I'd like to see them get a few more weapons on offense. Defense tries really hard. 4-6-1 for St. Louis. I mean, you can't really expect them to do much more than that. I mean, that's kind of what we thought from them. So, nice job by St. Louis. They look like they're heading in the right direction. Arizona at 4-7. Terrible job by Arizona. They started off 4-0. They've dropped 7 in a row, and they are now 4-7. Awful job, and I like their defense. Major problems on the offensive line. Running backs always hurt. They don't know who to start at quarterback. Skelton, Cobb, Lindley, who knows? Fitzgerald is their only weapon at receiver. I mean, like I said, I do like their defense. They don't have much else after that. So as far as the NFC, that's the divisions. Right now, here's who would be in the NFC if the playoffs were to start today. And I know there's a long way to go, but if the playoffs were to start today, here's who would be in. Atlanta would be your 1 seed. San Francisco would be your 2 seed. Those 2 teams would have a bye. Chicago would be your 3 seed. The Giants would be your 4 seed. The 2 wild cards at this point would be Green Bay and Seattle. Seattle right now at 6-5 holds the tiebreaker. Tampa Bay is at 6-5. They're right there with Seattle. Minnesota right there also at 6-5, although they do have a brutal schedule. Washington 5-6, can't count them out, although I don't think they're a playoff team. Dallas 5-6, can't trust them. They're up and down. Who knows about them? And New Orleans at 5-6. They got off to the horrendous start. They rallied, had a setback last week. Can't count them out there. So that's your NFC right now. Let's move over to the AFC. In the AFC East, New England's at 8-3. Once again, you look up at the AFC East, and there's New England. There's New England sitting there in first place every year. I don't love New England's defense. I think it's going to bite them in the playoffs, but they are going to win this division. They are going to make the playoffs. Miami at 5-6. I thought when they lost to Buffalo, they were going to turn into a pumpkin. They had a nice bounce-back performance against Seattle last week. Miami overall has done a nice job at 5-6. Tannehill looks pretty good. I think he's going to be a good quarterback. So that the future looks pretty bright for Miami. Do I think they're a playoff team this year? No. Jets at 4-7, a complete circus, a carnival, a debacle, a mess, a joke, whatever you want to call it. Rex Ryan, a complete buffoon. The Jets are just a mess from top to bottom. No stars, no leadership, no talent, no wins, no anything. Still don't know about Sanchez. Forget about Tebow. Mess, complete mess for the Jets. Buffalo at 4-7, another disappointment. Where was this great defense I was hearing about all off season with Buffalo? I mean, their defense can't stop anyone. They had one nice performance against Miami, and that was it. Not impressed with Buffalo. I don't like Fitzpatrick. I would have never signed him to the big contract. Buffalo did. I don't know what they do going forward. Not impressed with Buffalo. Last place. Over to the AFC North. Baltimore at 9-2. Baltimore is a very good home team. They're very vulnerable on the road. We'll see if Baltimore can get home field and how much home field they can get. It's the key to their whole playoff run. Do they play in Baltimore? Do they play on the road? They can beat anyone at home. They can lose to anyone on the road. They do have a few injuries. Ray Lewis does think he can come back from the tricep injury. Very surprising that Ray Lewis can come back from that. That's usually a season ender. Ray Lewis says he can come back. That would really be a boost to morale for Baltimore. Baltimore at 9-2 at first. Pittsburgh at 6-5. Sinking very fast. No Roethlisberger. Leftwich hurt. They're down to Batch. I mean, their best receiver, Brown, is hurt. Palomalo hasn't played in 2 months. Last week, fumbles, turnovers, penalties. Steelers go in the opposite direction. If the Steelers can get healthy, they can do some things. They just need everyone healthy, and that starts with Roethlisberger. He says he might play this week in Baltimore. Tough place to come back. Even if he plays, I think Baltimore beats him. Steelers definitely need Roethlisberger back in a big way. Cincinnati, tied with the Steelers right now at 6-5. The Steelers do have the tiebreaker. They beat Cincinnati in Cincinnati. They do play one more time in Pittsburgh. That will be a huge game. Cincinnati started off 3-1, went to 3-5. Now they're 6-5. I like Cincinnati's talent. They have good young talent. I like Dalton. I like Green. I like what I see from Cincinnati. Cleveland 3-8. They try hard. They beat Pittsburgh last week. They just don't have a lot of talent. We still don't know about Whedon. They need a lot of work. They do try hard, though. Over in the South, Houston at 10-1. Can't say much bad about Houston. I don't like the way the defense has played the last 2 weeks, though. So they got to shore up the defense. They got to get Joseph back and healthy. He's a big key to their defense. We know they lost Cushing to an injury, but they're 10-1. I mean, how much you can't say anything bad about Houston. Indianapolis 7-4. Can't say anything bad about them. Andrew Luck has been as good as advertised. The coaching staff has done an amazing job. Really nice job by the Colts at 7-4. Tennessee 4-7. Tennessee 4-7. What a bunch of slop from Tennessee this year. I thought they'd be a little better than this. Not impressed with Tennessee at all. I don't know still about Locker. Is he going to be the quarterback of the future? Johnson's been spotty since he got the big contract. Their defense stinks. I don't know. Very unimpressed with Tennessee. Jacksonville at 2-9. They have shown life the last couple of weeks with Henne at quarterback. They showed no life with Gabbard at all. Have shown a little bit of life with Henne. They do have some nice receivers. Jones-Drew has been out the whole year. Defense needs some work, a lot of work actually. Jacksonville, a long way back. They have shown some life the last couple of weeks though. Over in the West, Denver leading at 8-3. Denver's a major contender with Manning in that defense. They have a good home crowd. I like what I see from Denver. They're getting hot after the slow start. Denver, major contender. San Diego, 4-7. San Diego 4-7. Boo-hoo San Diego. I mean, it all just came crumbling down this last weekend when they couldn't stop Baltimore on 4th and 29 in their own building. They let Baltimore convert a 4th and 29 in their own building on a little dump pass to Ray Rice. San Diego, a complete joke. They're just as laughable as the Jets, maybe even more so because at least they have a quarterback in Phillip Rivers and they supposedly have more talent. I mean, what a joke. Norv Turner, who was a very good offensive coordinator, is not a head coach. The Chargers are a complete joke, a circus, a carnival, a mess. I am so disappointed in the Chargers. Every single year you think they're going to do something and they fall flat on their face. Do you realize this season they started off 3-1? 3-1, now they're 4-7. What a joke they are. On to another joke. How about the Oakland Raiders at 3-8? Once again, the Raiders. Their defense can't stop anyone. The running backs are hurt. They do have some nice young receivers. Palmer is good, but he's got a huge contract. He's better off on a team that can win now, not on this mess of a team. Now they got this huge contract with Palmer. What do you do going forward? Raiders, as usual, a complete debacle as well. And how about Kansas City at 1-10? Kansas City 1-10. They had a nice, decent year last year. They beat Green Bay and ended their big winning streak last year. Romeo Crennel, terrible. Castle, awful. Quinn, awful. Offensive line, awful. These great receivers I heard about all offseason, terrible. Defense. One of the worst defenses I have seen recently. Their defense is terrible, although they did play decently last week against Denver. I mean, they have an okay running game. Not much to say good about Kansas City this year. I am so down on them. 1-10 Kansas City. Awful. Right now, if the playoffs were to start today in the AFC, Houston would be the 1 seed. Baltimore the 2. They'd have the byes. New England would be your 3. Denver would be your 4. And your 2 wild cards right now, Indianapolis, believe it or not, Pittsburgh, right now holding on to that last wild card. Cincinnati right there with Pittsburgh. Remember, they play again in Pittsburgh. Huge game. Miami, a game back. I don't know if I could take Miami seriously for a playoff spot. They are only a game back, though, so you can't eliminate them. So that's kind of your overall picture in the NFL right now. We still got a bunch of football to be played. And you know how things... The NFL is a week-to-week league. I mean, things change week to week. You never know what's going to happen. But that's kind of where we stand right now. All right, let's move over to the NBA, my little State of the Union of the NBA. I know it's very early in the NBA season. I do like to touch on the standings, see who's doing what. Last night, what an exciting game in Brooklyn in the new Barclays Center. The Brooklyn Nets beat the Knicks in overtime. Really nice atmosphere. Brooklyn fans have been really turning out. They've been selling a lot of seats, chanting Brooklyn, Brooklyn, Brooklyn at the end of the game. They really have a home field now. They didn't have that in New Jersey for the most part. They do have it now in Brooklyn. Really nice game last night. Nice rivalry game. Brooklyn gets the win. Let's go through the standings real quick in the NBA. Let's start in the East. The Atlantic Division, the Knicks are 9-4, doing a nice job overall. They do lose to the Nets last night, but overall the Knicks have done a nice job. Carmelo Anthony's been playing really good. I like what I see from the Knicks. They do have an older team. Do I think they're a championship team? No, but the East is really weak this year. I mean, there's not too many really, really good teams in the East. I mean, you have Miami, but I mean, who else? I mean, you know, Boston's got a lot of age. So the Knicks are in a good spot. Do I think they're a championship team? No. Playoff team? Definitely. Can they do some things in the playoffs? Yeah, probably. 9-4 for them. Brooklyn, as I mentioned, also 9-4. Real home court. Now, they have a real identity. They have Darren Williams. They have some nice players. They have Lopez at center. Really nice team in Brooklyn. They should make the playoffs. Philadelphia at 8-6. They are doing a nice job. They need Bynum back. When is Bynum coming back? He's got these, 2 knee problems now. He says he's going to be back maybe in a month. Who knows? Philadelphia says no timetable. He says in a month. They need Bynum back in the worst way. They're 8-6 without him. Imagine you put that big man in the middle. He's a really good player when he's on the court. Would change Philadelphia's lineup completely. And in the East, like I said, not too many great teams. The Sixers can do something. Need Bynum back in the worst way. Boston at 8-6. They give you everything they have. Doc Rivers is a really good coach. They give you everything they have. They have a lot of age on them. Garnett's old. Pierce is old. I mean, they have a lot of age. They do play really hard. They're always a threat. Are they a title contender? I don't think so. They are, though, a team that you have to watch out for. Toronto, 3-11, long way back. Let's go to the Central. Milwaukee at 7-5. I like what I see from Milwaukee. They got a nice backcourt. Their front court has to come around, though. Bulls at 6-7. Need Rose back in the worst way. Can't win without Rose. Indiana at 6-8. Major disappointment. They need Granger back. He's going to be out months still. Indiana had a nice season last year. They've been struggling. They've been in a quagmire so far this year. Need Granger back. Still have to wait a couple months for him. Cleveland at 3-11. We obviously know it's a long way back for them. Now Irving, their star guard, is hurt with a finger. He's gone a month. Cleveland, long way to go for them. Detroit 4-11. I mean, not much good to say about Detroit at 4-11. In the Southeast, Miami at 10-3. We know they're the front runner to win the championship. Miami, I mean, barring an injury, they should win the title this year. Atlanta at 8-4. Atlanta's done a nice job. They have a really nice team. They have Horford. They have Josh Smith. They have a really nice team. Good, solid contender. Are they a championship team? No. Good, solid team, though. Good, solid team. I like what I see from the Hawks. Charlotte at 7-6. You say, Charlotte 7-6. What's the big deal? Charlotte didn't win any games last year. I mean, they set the record for the least amount of wins in NBA history. They were so bad. I mean, so this year being 7-6, they've actually done a nice job. Kid Gilchrist, I like, the young man from Kentucky who they just got in the draft. I like Walker. Mike Dunlap has done a nice job as the coach of the Bobcats. He was a surprise hire. A lot of people are like, Mike Dunlap, the assistant from St. John's, why are they giving him the job? He's done a nice job. They obviously have a long way to go. 7-6, so a nice job by him. Orlando, 5-8. We knew once they lost Dwight Howard, long way back for them. Washington, 0-12. Washington Wizards, 0-12. No Wall, so you have to give them a little pass, but 0-12. Come on, Wizards. Over to the West, the Northwest Division, Oklahoma City at 11-4 off the 45-point win against Charlotte last night, which they completely dismantled Charlotte. 11-4, Oklahoma City's definitely a contender. They have Durant, they have Westbrook, they have Ibaka. I don't like that they lost Harden. I don't like that. I think it's a little step back for them. I mean, I understand why they had to do it. They're not as good without Harden, though. They are a contender still. 11-4 for Oklahoma City. Denver at 8-7. Nice collection of talent. No star. Utah 8-7. Kind of the same thing. Nice collection of players. No star. Portland 6-8. They're up and down. Portland. I mean, they don't have a great. They're kind of a 500 team. Great fans out there in Portland. Minnesota 5-7. Minnesota was doing a nice job. They were playing good ball. No Rubio yet. Once they were doing well without Love. Once Love came back in the lineup, they started losing. You figured with Love back, they were going to start winning even more so. They took a step back with Love, but he has to get acclimated to playing. Maybe he's a little rusty. 5-7. They need Love healthy and ready to go, and they need Rubio back as well. Over to the Pacific. Clippers at 8-6. What's with the Clippers? They were playing nice ball. Now they're in a little bit of a slump here. They lost to the Hornets last night in L.A. How do you lose to the Hornets in your own building? The Hornets didn't even have Davis. They haven't had, Gordon yet. I mean, so how in the world did the Clippers lose to the Hornets last night? I don't understand it. The Clippers got to be better than that. This is what you worry about with the Clippers. I mean, can they consistently win? And can they be championship level? We know they're going to make the playoffs. We know they have a good team. Can you be a championship team? You can't lose to the Hornets in your own building. And the Hornets, they have a few nice pieces. Most of them were hurt last night. So not a good job by the Clippers last night. They're 8-6. I don't want to kill them too much. Long way to go. Golden State, nice job at 8-6. No Bogart yet, and they've done a nice job. If they get him back at center playing well, Golden State could do some things. I mean, they're a championship team? No, maybe they can get in the playoffs, though. Have to have Bogart back healthy. He's the whole key to them. All right, Lakers 7-7, mediocre so far. No Nash, D'Antoni, a collection of superstars, older. I think the Lakers have a lot of problems. I don't think they're going to play any defense. They're older. I mean, I know they have a collection of stars. I don't like what I see from the Lakers as far as a title contender, but you can't count them out. So far, very disappointing at 7-7. Phoenix 6-8. Not much going on in Phoenix. I don't expect a lot from them. Sacramento 4-9. A long way back for them. Southwest Conference, San Antonio 12-3. Typical San Antonio. San Antonio every year gives you everything they have. They're kind of like the Celtics. Do I think they can win the title? No. They've had a great regular season the last 2 years, came up short in the playoffs. I think the same thing is going to happen this year. They have too much age on them. Duncan is too old at this point, to win a championship. Right now, San Antonio 12-3, the usual for them. Memphis, really nice team at 10-2. No superstar, though. That's what worries me about them. I don't think Rudy Gay is a superstar. I don't think Marc Gasol is a superstar. Randolph is not a superstar. Conley's not a superstar. And superstars win in the NBA. Those are the teams that win in the NBA, the teams that have superstars and multiple superstars. Memphis doesn't even have one superstar. They have a lot of nice players, a couple of all-stars, no superstar, doing a nice job at 10-2, though. Dallas 7-7. I mean, they need Dirk Nowitzki back in the worst way. I mean, as he goes, the Dallas Mavericks go. Houston 6-7. They're exciting with Harden and Lin. They need a long way, a lot more talent, those, but they are exciting. New Orleans at 4-9. Like I said, they had a nice win against the Clippers last night. They have Davis, who's the number one pick from Kentucky. He's a nice player. He's going to be out a couple weeks. So they have a couple of nice players. They need him back healthy, though, and they are young. So it's going to be a long way back for New Orleans. They are headed in the right direction there. Let's move over real quickly to the college basketball. Let's go through your top 25. I know the NBA is early. College basketball is really early. But let's quickly go through the top 25. Number 25, New Mexico. That's Steve Alford's team. Really, really unbelievable home court in New Mexico. If you ever in the New Mexico, Albuquerque area, get to a New Mexico game. They have some of the best fans I've ever seen. They don't call it the pit for nothing. Number 24, UNLV. That's Dave Rice's team. Nice job by UNLV. I mean, we remember UNLV back in the day when they had all those great teams. So UNLV's done a nice job. 23, San Diego State. That's Steve Fisher's team. They're building a nice program out there. 22, Illinois. Big Ten is loaded. 21, Minnesota. That's Tubby Smith's team. Another Big Ten team. Big Ten has a lot of teams this year. 20, Georgetown. That's John Thompson III's team. So they're doing a nice job. Colorado was surprised at 19. Nice job by Colorado. You don't expect them in the top 25. Nice job by Colorado. 18 is NC State, Mark Godfrey's team. They're 4-1. They actually should be a little better than 18. I expect a little more from NC State. 17, Cincinnati. That's Mick Cronin's team. Mick Cronin is a fighter, a battler. He's a feisty coach on the sidelines. I like the grit from Cincinnati. 16, Missouri. Great fans. I love that arena in Missouri. 15, Oklahoma State. 14, North Carolina. I mean, I know the North Carolina fans don't like them at 14. They want them a little higher than that. North Carolina fans are spoiled. 13, Michigan State. They're always a good tournament team. 12, Gonzaga with Mark Few. They're always up there. 11, Creighton. Let me tell you about Creighton. They play in Omaha. They get a huge crowd in Omaha every time they play a home game. They have tremendous fans in Creighton. 10, Kansas. They haven't been overly impressive this year. Number 9, you have Arizona. That's Sean Miller's team. He's building a nice program there. 8, Kentucky. We know they have all the freshmen. They're going to get better as the season goes along. 7, Florida State. Billy Donovan's team, always good. Number 6, Syracuse. How about Jim Boeheim? Every year, Syracuse is in the top 10. They do an amazing job there. Number 5, Louisville. Rick Pitino's got a nice team. 4, Ohio State, that modest team. Big Ten is loaded. Number 3, Michigan, another Big Ten team with John Beilein. Number 2, Duke, off the huge win against Louisville. We know Duke's always good. And number 1, Tom Crean's Indiana Hoosiers. I mean, they have a really, really nice team, Indiana. Definite contender for the national championship. 2 teams not in the top 25. UConn. Remember, Jim Calhoun gone, Kevin Ollie there. UConn not in the top 25 this year. Tell me they don't miss Jim Calhoun. And UCLA. UCLA was ranked pretty high this year. They just lost to Cal Poly at home. They were up 18 at home against Cal Poly and lost. So they're out of the top 25. They should be a lot better than that. Tonight, 2 games to keep an eye on. North Carolina at Indiana, very interesting game, and NC State at Michigan. So a nice collection of games for college basketball. And tomorrow you have Ohio State and Duke. That's a game to keep an eye on as well. I know it's early in college basketball. They have games on, it seems, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I know the regular season doesn't mean as much with the tournament and all that, but you want to keep an eye on some of these teams. Some of these teams are really enjoyable to watch. All right, so that wraps up today. Tomorrow, we're going to do all our college football. I'm going to go through the rest of the college football. Believe it or not, this is basically the last week of full college football. I mean, you have your conference championships this week. You have your big Alabama-Georgia game. The winner of that has the right to play Notre Dame for the national title. You have a few other games sprinkled in. After this week, all you have in college football is Army-Navy the week after and your bowl games. College football is basically over. Do you believe it? I mean, basically, when you hit Thanksgiving, college football is over. I think the season's like 2 months. It's amazing how quick college football is, and the NFL is starting to wind down. I cannot believe how quickly football goes. I guess that's one of the reasons why we love it so much. Less is more sometimes, and each game is so precious. So tomorrow, Wednesday, we're going to go through all the college football. We're going to pick the Alabama-Georgia game, go through all that. Thursday, all the NFL games. We'll go through every one of them, pick every one of them with the point spread. You guys, stay safe. Enjoy the games tonight. You got a little college basketball. You got NBA. Enjoy the games. Stay safe. I will talk to you tomorrow, Wednesday. Take care.